The teams are in for Essendon versus Geelong. Are we going to have another debutant? Let's have a look at the teams right now.
We've always had the passion.
So here are the changes for the teams. As expected, Patrick Dangerfield is the only omission for the Cats. There was a bit of talk that there might be some other players managed, as they're almost certain to win this game. They've had, can you believe it, 20 players play every game this year, and they've only played 26 players for the year. Only 26 players have fielded for Geelong this year. It really does make you sick, doesn't it, as an Essendon supporter, the stability sometimes that Geelong has and the lack of injuries. But there you go. Patrick Dangerfield has been managed, and Mitch Nevitt comes into the team. So for Essendon, I think this is probably a good change. Menzie, who has been in pretty good form in the VFL, obviously he has, it's doubtful whether he will be on the list next year, just with the tight list spots available. He and Oscar Smart, look, possibly, because Smart's coming out of the side, as you can see, he and Oscar Smart could very well be vying for one position. So this could be a big game for Jye Menzie. He'll be very, very anxious to perform and try to convince the list managers that he deserves a spot on the side for next year. I don't think there's room, personally, just because of, at the end of the day, you've got to cut 8, 9 or 10 players. And if you don't cut him, who else? But look, it's up to him to perform to a level where he can make it difficult and make his case for staying on the list. So there was a bit of talk that Reece Unwin would come into the team. He trained with the main group today. Now, look, I still think that's a possibility because he's actually been named first emergency. So if anyone comes out of this team, Reece Unwin will make his debut and will be yet another debutant for Essendon. We already hold the record. We'll hold the record again. So he's obviously pretty close. So I wouldn't rule out a later mission. Obviously, that can happen. So he is the first emergency. So we just go through the Essendon side. Forward line, we have Isaac Kako, Liam McMahon and Ben Hobbs. So Liam McMahon last week was subbed off. The conditions weren't right for him, really. It was wet. They said there was going to be lightning, windy. It was just not, he was subbed off for tactical reasons. I'd like to see him get another go at it. And look, it's going to be perfect conditions down there at Geelong, or pretty close to perfect. So I'm going to be sitting behind the goals down there, behind the right-hand end of the TV screen. So watch out if you can see me, because we're not going to have much of an opportunity to cheer, I can tell you that. But anyway, he's there. Ben Hobbs retains his spot in the team in the forward line. Jade Gresham, who did have a number of clearances last week and did okay. Peter Wright at centre-half forward, and Archie Perkins. Perkins, he just needs to have a big game. I remember that game against Hawthorn last year where he had 24 possessions, a couple of goals, and was just about best on ground, but he just fades in and out of games, and just, his best is pretty good, but he just doesn't seem to do enough. Hopefully he can have a big game. He's one of the players that we're going to be looking, obviously, at, potentially trading. I guess he would be in that category. Luaman Lual retains his spot on the wing. Zach Merritt in the centre and Xavier Dersma. So I was hoping Sardell Hooley would come in for Lual. I noticed, if you guys watched my VFL video, I thought it was curious that of the 7 VFL listed players last week, that Sard was not named on the field. He was named on the bench in the VFL. Now, whether that means anything or not means anything, I don't know. But all the other 6 players were named on the field, and there he was named on the bench. So I don't know whether there's something that we don't know, whether he's broken some sort of team rule or something. But anyway, he's not in, and Lual is on the wing. Dersma on the other one. Half back line, Archie Roberts, Lachlan Blackiston and Mason Redmond. Blackiston coming off his first goal ever last week against the Swans. Jaden Nguyen in the back line. So I reckon Jaden Nguyen is going to play on Tyson Stengel. That would be my prediction. He did a really good job on Papley, and this will be a really good test for him. And I reckon he's perfectly suited. From what I saw, I reckon he's perfectly suited to playing senior level AFL football because he's got the aggression and he's got the desire. Right? His skill level's pretty good as well, but he's got that real aggression that I think will hold him in good stead. So we're going to be keeping an eye out for him. Let's hope he can, keep Stengel to a respectable total. Laverty at fullback, of course, and Andrew McGrath is listed in the back pocket. The followers are Goldstein, Shield, and Durham. I'm telling you, Goldstein will probably just play out the year. I reckon the only game Vigo will be the Gold Coast game at the end of the year, coming off a short break for us. And I reckon Goldstein may very well get a farewell game against Carlton at the MCG. I reckon that's what I would predict, and Vigo will probably get that last game. But I'd rather just play Vigo in the reserves and develop him there. The interchange bench: Pryor, May, Menzie, Guelphy, and Clark. So most likely the sub will come from there. And the emergencies: Reece Unwin, Sardell Hooley, and Oscar Smart. So how many goals is Jeremy Cameron going to kick? That's what everybody is talking about. What are they going to do? I reckon he'll probably kick about 7. It's going to be hard for Laverty and Blackiston down there. We saw what the two big talls for the Bulldogs did against us. You know, a couple of weeks ago, they just demolished us, and it's just going to be really, really hard. And they're going to be keen to get him closer to that 100 down there. So that's going to be an interesting watch. I just hope we can keep this under 15 goals, because it's going to be ugly one way or the other. This is going to be an ugly game, but hopefully we can just show that just some aggression and some spirit, and just something for the supporters. I'd put a challenge on some of the midfield players. I'd say, look, Merritt, Shield, Durham, see if you can get 12 tackles. Right? I'd put an aim. I'd put some sort of stipulation on some statistical thing that they can almost count as they're playing, just to keep the motivation up, and really just show Geelong that we don't want to be bullied around by them, even though we're going to be. But at least let Geelong feel like they've had a match at the end of the match. That's what I'd like to get out of this game at the end, is that, basically, that after the match is over, even if it's a relatively big margin, that at least the Geelong players have come out of the match thinking, well, look, we had to at least put some effort in to get the score on the board. So that is the team for the Bombers. Emergencies: Reece Unwin, Sardell Hooley, and Oscar Smart are the 3 emergencies. So, yeah, don't count out Reece Unwin potentially making his debut. I think that is a distinct possibility. Perhaps unlikely. Look, I personally wouldn't do it. I'd bring, if there was a late out, I'd bring Sard in, only because I just think it's throwing it's like throwing it to the wolves a little bit against Geelong. I mean, Reece Unwin he looks like he's 12 years old, and these Geelong players all look like they're about, they all look like Rocky Balboa when you look at them up close. And I just think it might be a better debut if he was to play against St Kilda next week. That would just be my personal view. But anyway, we'll see what happens. He's not named in the team as it is anyway. So I'm going to leave it there. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys watch the game, enjoy the game, get something out of it. Look, I'm going to enjoy it. It's kind of unusual watching a game where you know you're not going to win. At least the result is a foregone conclusion, so you can sort of watch it in almost a bit like you watch a car crash, where you can't keep your eyes off it. So I'm going to, look, I always enjoy it. I'm there every week. I'm going to be there again. Hope you guys watch it to the end, right? And we might get something out of the game. There might be some excellent performance from one of the players that we can take into next week and into next season with a bit of hope. All right, I'll leave it there. Like and subscribe to this channel. And as always, go Bombers.
Watch the